I've heard some stories from my clients of different stylists, and that's where I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. But at the same time, you have to, like, you can't force anybody to be passionate. You can't
Mm,
train passion. You really, really can't. Like, that's where it's
no.
like to even people who are hiring new stylists, as I feel like as long as you find those specific people who have that light, that fire underneath them, regardless of their technicality and their skill set. You can train a skill set. You can train that, but you can't
Yeah.
train passion, you can't train determination, and you can't train hard work. So to me, for anybody who's looking to hire people like that and people who want to be more hireable, find that within yourselves. Like, that's the biggest thing that I can tell people who are in the industry starting out, who is in it, who feels like they want to quit. Like, find something that inspires you and drives you to learn every day, and when you do that, you're never going to be bored.
Welcome to the Green Beauty Community Podcast, where we're making sustainable beauty the new standard. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and in each episode, we dive deep into the world of eco-friendly beauty, sharing insights and tips and inspiring stories from industry leaders and innovators. Whether you're a beauty professional or enthusiast, join us as we explore how to make the beauty industry kinder to our planet without compromising on quality or style. Let's create a more beautiful world inside and out. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and today I have Veronica, a stylist and barber at Headcase Hair Studios, with me. And I'm so excited to learn all about your history and how you got into clean and sustainable beauty. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jacqueline. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so you're coming at the studio, like you're there at the salon now. We see the beautiful background.
I'm actually in our this is the owner's office. This is our where we kind of keep everything as far as like our back stock, and we actually are the number one distributors for Natural League, which is our main beauty brand that we use. So we're the main distributors throughout Texas.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I did
Mhm.
not know that. That's really awesome. And I have not gotten a chance to use Natural Leak, but definitely been on my radar. So that's wonderful. So how long have you been a stylist?
Well, I've been a stylist for going on 6 years. I also have been I'm a stylist, barber. I've in the previous in a past life before hair, I was a holistic health practitioner, yoga teacher. So my sustainability aspect and knowledge goes back from like 2012 to 2013, starting back in like 2012, 2013. So going into sustainability from way back when, and then going into the beauty industry has been, it's funny because you don't really actually hit a blip in the road at all when it comes to the beauty industry. It literally goes from the health into beauty, and it transitions really, really nicely. So I'm a holistic health practitioner, turned hairstylist and barber. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So what made you want to make that shift in your career?
It was interesting because back when I first started my holistic health journey, I was 18 at the time, and there's so many people that didn't really take me seriously. There were a lot of young women who were basically like, "Oh, you're not a mom of like 5 kids. You don't know what it's like to go from like, juggling kids all day to trying to fit time into, cooking, cleaning, working out. You don't know what the struggle is like. You look like Barbie, so you don't have a what is it? Like a comeback story, I would say, from like,
Yeah.
a devastation in health or weight to all of a sudden to like being healthy now. Like, there was never that kind of like dramatic transformation or a story behind it. It was just me being like 18 and being like, oh, well, we're going to go join in health. So, so going forward with that, that's where I started with yoga. I went from holistic health to yoga because no one took me seriously. So I figured,
Mm.
why not get into yoga, because that's going to attract the kind of clientele that I want. Everyone's already wanting to be into a holistic and sustainable lifestyle when it comes to yoga and wellness. So that's where I became a yoga teacher. I was certified for a short amount of time. I didn't I didn't keep that certificate and training going, but I was trained in prenatal as well. And going into that, next thing you know, it was my parents. my mother at the time, she's like, well, you can't do anything with yoga. It's not a real job. So I left that. And then I've lived so many other lives in between that and hair. And so next thing you know, I went from, long story short, so many jobs later, everything from forklift driving to landscaping to the working for Quest Diagnostics in a laboratory. And then
Wow.
then my ex-boyfriend at the time, he's like, didn't you want to like do something besides just like work in the lab? And I was like, yeah, actually. So that's kind of like went into my whole journey with hair. And so back pacing, I wanted my mom's hairdresser from years ago. She wanted me to be, she thought I was like, you need to be in hair. You need to be in hair. And I come from a background of eight, a family of eight with six kids. So I had all the siblings, all the people to do hair on. I would cut my brother's hair from like a 2 on the back and the sides to a 3 on top in the summertime. And whenever it came to the holidays or a special event or Halloween, I would do like the hair, the makeup, all of that stuff. I'm very much tomboyish growing up, so I can only do my own makeup. I can't do other people. Whoever does makeup, it's great. I love them for that. That's just not me. I'm successful when I do my own makeup, so we call that a day. But um
That's a win.
yeah, it's a win. So and I was like, "Oh, your makeup looks great." I'm like, "Don't ask me to do it." I'm like, I got other coworkers to do it. I will send you to
It's
them."
different. It's
Yes,
totally different doing it on somebody
totally
else's.
different.
My whole thing is braids. I
Girl.
can't, I can braid on others. I cannot braid my own. It looks insane. So
Listen, my
I
carpal
get it.
tunnel won't let me do it. It's like,
I know.
I
Because
don't know how they do it. I'm like, my hat goes off of them. They do beautiful designs. I will find the person who does it. Like, I will send you to them. I will gladly refer you to them. So going back, so for Halloween, my baby sister, she wanted to be Cinderella, and she has beautiful, fine. She doesn't have the biggest density of hair in the world, but she's that beautiful, fine blonde hair. So when I was like maybe like 15 or 16, I would take her hair in your bang section, your regular bang section, and I would take a curling iron and I would curl it, and then I would pin it and I'd hairspray it. And then my mom, she'd be like, Veronica Marie, I swear to God, if you cut your sister's bangs. I'm like, no, wait, hold on. Don't freak out. And next thing you know, I would show her what I did. And she was like, how did you know to do that? I'm like, I just did it. And so next thing you know, my mom told her hairdresser, and Miss K, I love her to death. And so she was like, you need to just do hair. And I'm like, why? And so she's like, so you can charge your siblings to do this. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was like back then. So, and then from just a lot of things happen, life happens. And I kind of just wanted to try different industries, get some more life experience under my belt before pulling out like all this money for college. So I took a break from school and just kind of started working in different industries, getting a lot of different experience and multiple different backgrounds. And then fast forward to my ex-boyfriend being like, so what did you want to do like when you grew up? I was like, well, I Miss K told me to do hair. So let's go check out a couple of beauty schools. So next thing you know, I go to beauty school and I fell in love with it immediately. And being such a tomboy, barbering just for some reason, men's hair, I just have like a good niche for it and a good eye for it. And so just from then I'm like, okay, cool, I want to be a barber. But back then it was 1,500 hours to do beauty school. And then if I did barbering first, it would have been another 1,500 hours. And then if you went back to do color and went to do that, the cosmetology side as well, it was another 1,500 hours. So it would have been like a total of 3,000 hours back then.
wow.
And so that's where I decided to do cosmetology first. And then if you did cosmetology first and then adding on barbering in Texas, it's an additional 300 hours. So I'm like, cool, we're just going to do that. So,
No
and that's,
brainer.
yeah, so that's the route I took. And here we are today.
That's, I love the story because I feel like a lot of us have that kind of, we've done other things, we've tried other things, and this just came back to it because something you said about the yoga not being a real job.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have said that about being a hairstylist.
Oh, absolutely. Like when
Yeah.
I was working for Quest Diagnostics, I worked for doctors and everyone's like, oh, you should go into microtomy and you should go in histology. And I worked in histology at the time, which is the study of diseased tissue. It was great. It
Mm.
was awesome. Saw some interesting things. At the same time, I was like, no, I don't think this is what I want to do. Like, I'm too stressed out. I'm losing my hair because the medical industry is just so stressful to me. And hats off to anybody who is watching, listening, who wants to go from the health industry to hair. Girl, just do it. Whoever's in it, just do it. Because a lot of people either go from hair to health or health to hair. Like I have a cousin who
Very
is a
true.
hairstylist. She literally quit doing hair and she's a nurse now. So, and my family is there's a bunch of nurses in my family. So to me, I'm like, I just want to do hair and just see that. I'm like, listen, I would rather take care of the people taking care of people. I'm like, let me just come into my chair. I'll get you all relaxed and beautified. And, but yeah, when I was transitioning from medical to hair, and I said, hey, I'm going to quit. I'm going to go work at a bar while I'm going to school during the day. So that way I can work. It's just easier. It's more relaxing. They're like, oh, why do you want to do that? I feel like that's like an end of like a last choice, like career path. And I'm like, no, I think I want to take care of the doctors because doctors need to look good and, nurse practitioners need to look good. And, I think I can make just as much money as doctors do, if not the people who work in the hospitals and stuff like that. So I'm like, I think we can do it. And my dad, he's worked for Quest Diagnostics for 40 years, 45 years now. And back when he first started, I'm making just as much as he is back then. Like it took him for what he's making now. So what he's making now is what I'm making now. And it took me only 6 years to get there. And it's taken him 40 years to get there. So it's kind of crazy to think of like the dynamic, like not only can you be a hairstylist and a barber, but then at the same time do it in a sustainable way. It's like, yes. When people ask me like, can it be done? Like, yes, it can be done. Like, I think that it was the right time, right place at the right time when it came to head case.
Well, I think everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. And every journey you've been on has led you to this place where you are able to make what you're making in 6 years versus what your dad was making, in 45. Like that's huge to be able to see that. And I don't think still like we're getting more recognition that this industry is very important. And it's not just a like where you go because you have no other choices or where
Mhm.
you're just like part-time hobby in it.
It's not like it's like the end of the road where it's like you got nothing left to do with your life. So go ahead and become a hairstylist and then just try to succeed at that. I'm like, no, if you really try to, you can really make a legit career out of it. And that's why it's like I tell a lot of my clients who come into my chair who are like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm like, girl, I'm like, y'all, me neither. At the same time, it's like we're still growing every day. I'm like, the saying my mom used to say a long time ago is like, I want to be a Toys R Us kid for the rest of my life. But hey, here we are. We're doing hair. At the same time, I just feel like the biggest thing that I could tell people who are in the industry, especially starting out, would be to fail and fail often. Don't get
Mhm.
discouraged about it. There's a great Michael Jordan has a wonderful documentary out, and that's what really kind of kicked me in the butt during my apprenticeship here at Headcase. And so it was hard. It's long hours. It's a lot of dedicated time to the industry. Because like when people think like, oh, well, they clock out and they leave, and the salon owner is the only one that has to work 24/7. I don't think that's true. Because for what's helped me to succeed is that my day doesn't end at the salon. Like I'm still going home, I'm still researching, I'm still looking at the ingredients, I'm still looking at different ways on how I can apply the products. I'm still looking up different ways on how I can better my technique. So it's what you do in your pastime and your off time that also will drip into your professionalism. So to me, it's your biggest competitor is yourself. And if you have that drive, you're thirsty for it, you got to be hungry. You got to be hungry for the knowledge. You got to be hungry for the time. You got to be hungry for the techniques. It's an ever-changing industry, and you have to keep up with it. And that's another benefit of working here is that like they help with the education. They also make sure that you know everything that you need to know. If you're struggling in something, they're like, okay, how can we provide that for you? Like, it's the way that Kelly and Brandy have built this salon has been an amazing thing to see from like because I started when they were 3 years old, and to be a part of it now 8 years in, it's amazing to see them transition from what they were and then what they are today too.
I love that. And I could not have said it any better myself. I mean, really, anyone listening, right? If
Mhm.
you're a salon owner and you're struggling to keep employees, like bingo, we just heard some really great advice there where that's how you keep your clients. I mean, your employees. That's how you bring them in. Education and ever changing industry. Like you have to be hungry for it. Now, I want to clarify, and I think you're on the same page. Being hungry for it doesn't mean hustle culture of like just work
No.
yourself to death. It's what is it to you? Like, what does that being hungry look like?
That's a wonderful question because I have been on both ends of it where it's like I was the hustler where I'm like, we've been sleeping 6 hours a week. And that was like working, that was like right before my industry started back in beauty school, where I was like working two jobs. I was in beauty school. I was trying to like just keep afloat. And the hustle was hard. Like burnout hit really quick after that. But at the same time, that's where you have the support of your coworkers, your owner, where they kind of understand where you're coming from. And I would say that the hustle, you have to find the right time, schedule your time out. Like you're going to be working, like if you're working 8 hours a day behind the chair and you want to make some extra time for yourself, schedule that time in and you have to schedule it. And that's something that I've definitely learned. You have to prioritize your time, what's important to you. Going like if you struggle waking up, going to the gym, like figure out where that fits in. Are you a 4 a.m. girly or are you like an after work girly? So if you're one of those like after work girlies, okay, cool. Then you have to do the education when you wake up in the morning. You have to do that extra stuff when you wake up. Have a slow morning. And I feel like when you prioritize your time and you block out your time in those specific ways, you can actually get a lot more done and you don't have to do everything in one day. And that's I think one thing that being the biggest FOMO ever, where you have to feel like I have to, the fear of missing out of just I have to get everything in, there's not enough time in the day and you have to do this. Take it slow. If you're doing extra education, do an hour a day or put a video on while you're making dinner, or if you're trying to get something, like if you're meal prepping, or if you're listening to an like a hair podcast, you can do that literally while you're working out. Like if you can try and multitask, but then if there's something that you really want to work on, take that segregated time block it so now you can pay 100% of that time to that niche of what you're doing. And mannequins, practice on a mannequin, be a novice again. Like I have been practicing myself on trying to be faster at fading, better at fading, niching my men's work a little bit more so I can give my clientele an even higher level of experience. And I have a bunch of mannequins at home. Like if you saw like the plethora like of mannequins that I have at home, it's insane. Like practice, practice. If you get something right, have a client, be like, hey man, I learned a cool new technique. I would love to apply that technique to your hair today. I think it'll be like really, really amazing for what we're going for and what we have been continuously going for. And then going from there. Like you can even have like your clients be part of your growth. And it's pretty cool. I think they really love to see that.
I love how you focus your time and you look at bringing all those aspects. And another important part that I want to like bring out is you're not just what is work, but like your health, your working out, your education, your mindset. All of those pieces come together and make you a better person behind the chair, a
Oh,
better
absolutely.
person in the salon. And I'm sure that plays a part in your home as well.
Absolutely. Being a holistic health practitioner for a few years and leading up into the beauty industry, it's given me a lot of, how should I say, it's given me a lot of practice, I would say, to establish a healthy home. They say that there's like five things to contribute to health. You have your physical health, you have your mental health, your workplace health, your home health, and the health of the mind. I think if I get all, or your relationships. So if you're unhealthy and in different parts of those aspects, like if your physical health is lacking, then you're not living a full healthy life. If your physical health and mental health is lacking, or you're doing great in all those aspects, but your work balance and your home balance are lacking, then your mind's going to suffer as well. So there's like a lot of things that play into that. And so I feel like that's where a lot of people struggle. They're like, we got to hustle, we got to get that money, we got to get all of that. I'm like, that's great. But what are you sacrificing to get that? Is it your at home? Is it your family? Is it your loving relationships? Is it your physical health? Is it like your financial? Yeah, you're getting it, you're hustling, you're getting all that bread, you're going for it. But when you look at health in the big picture, there's so much more to it. And I feel like that's where, and that's where it aligns with beauty. And that's where the beauty part is just such a, it's people think like it's a big part, but it's such a minute part that plays into the, like, you're going for the long game. You're playing the long game in all of this. And is it a vital key point? Oh, absolutely. You can add the health and beauty part of it. That's like the whole physicality part. If you're putting toxins onto your body, then how does that's gonna throw everything off. That's gonna affect your mental state. That's gonna affect your health over the long run. Like, when it comes to, that's why I practically harassed poor Kelly in a parking lot to work here. If you ever get to if you ever get to interview her, it's a hilarious story. And going to from beauty school and with my background in phase 4, they have, sorry, a little side quest real quick.
Yeah, love it.
So in phase 4, they have you in beauty school here in Ogle in Texas. They have you look on my educator. She was my barbering director as well. So she was awesome. She's seen me through different phases of my career. And she's like, okay, everyone pick out like what salons you want to see, barbershops, schools, like let's go see. And then we're gonna have field trip that we can ask questions. You can see what the industry's like. You can ask them, potentially hand out your resumes and stuff like that. Well, head case was my pick because in beauty school, I could not stand the smell of ammonia. I was being plant-based for, what is it? I want to say 10 years before I went to more pescatarian. I was like literally vegan for 10 years, vegan, vegetarian for 10 years. And then my ex-boyfriend was like, you got to eat something. So I was like, okay, we're going to transition to fish. So being more plant-based throughout my past 14 years, I cannot stand certain smells, whether it's fast food, whether it's the carcinogens of the meat being grilled. Like, I can't stand certain smells, and it just makes me like, I can't do it. So
Yeah.
I could not stand the smell of ammonia in beauty school. So whenever we did our tour, we did it through Headcase. Kelly wasn't there at the time, but I absolutely fell in love with the salon. The salon doesn't smell like your typical hairdressing salon. It smells like essential oils. It smells clean. It's like you don't even smell hair. Like, it doesn't smell like hair when you walk in. And I was like, and everyone, when it comes to regular color, their back bar is huge. Like, they have such a huge, excuse me, huge back bar of color. And when going in here, I'm like, we just have like a nice little neat color section. And I'm just like, why? And they're like, well, it's natural color. It goes a lot further. And I was like, what do you mean? And so I was just like, all these things were firing in this salon. And then just knowing about it more, next thing you know, 2 or 3 days later, Kelly is in the salon in my school talking about natural leak. I'm like, oh my God, it's okay. This woman is in my school. Like, and I literally like she was talking about like how the whitener, we don't say bleach. Bleach is a bad word. We say whitener. And so she talks about like how the whitener works just as much as bleach and and I'm like sitting here, I'm like, the ingredients were, I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on? So I follow her to the parking lot, and next thing you know, I'm like, do you have an apprentice program? Like, I need to work for you. And she was like, no, we're a high-end salon. So she's like, maybe get some experience, then come back. And I was like, I will be back. And so next thing you know, I had a previous apprenticeship that didn't fall through. So I was like calling the front desk. I'm like, hey, Taylor, it's Veronica again. This is like the second time I'm talking to you today, but I did that for like days. Like, every day I called, every single day. I'm like, gonna be like, what's that movie with the boombox? I will sit outside with the boombox until you hire me. Like, I need to work here. And and so next thing you know, I have an interview with Kelly, and then Kelly's like, cool, it's up to Brandy. Well, Brandy's like, my interview was supposed to be 30 minutes. It was an hour long. And then I was still in beauty school at the time. So my goal was to finish beauty school with a job. And so next thing you know, like, my boss, Brandy, she comes up to me, or she tells me later. She's like, Mom, I feel like this girl's going to kill herself if we don't hire her. And I'm like, that was not going to happen. But at the same time, I probably would have been still harassing y'all until you gave me a job. But so next thing you know,
We're
she said, hey,
determined.
oh girl, like, let me tell you, like, I have never been so determined in my life.
Yeah.
Also, side note, don't harass your employer. I'm not sure how well it's going to do in the industry nowadays. I just lucked out. So don't harass your employer, but
It's
dedication
a
and
fine line between
yeah,
harassment and just determination
yeah,
and being, you know, really being determined to be a part of something that you care about. Like
yeah. Like, this
that
was the
as an
only place.
employer is
Yeah,
so important.
this was the only place that I saw that I could bring my practices of what I do at home into the salon. And so to me, it's an extension of my house. Like, to me, this is my home, this is my family, this is an extension of what I do every single day. So to me, I'm like, I need to work here. And so that's and next thing you know, I got an emails from Brandy saying, listen, we don't have an apprentice program at all, but she's like, we're willing to create one for you. So okay, let's go. Next thing you know, I was the first apprentice, and then now I'm one of the top stylists and barbers in the salon. So to me, it's crazy that like what that determination can do. So to me, like have that fire underneath you, and people will see that. If you see that, people will know about it. You'll grow with it, and the work will speak for itself. You don't really have to say anything. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. Just perform, and that's going to speak in itself. And actions, when they say actions speak louder than words, it really, really does. Because you can talk all this game, but someone who's silent the entire time could be outperforming you by a landslide, and you're like, oh, well, I can do ABC. I'm like, okay, cool, that's great, you can do that, awesome. We're not knocking that down, but do your thing and it'll show. So that's how I ended up at Headcase, actually. So that's how I got here.
I love that story, and thank you for sharing that, because there was so many pieces there that I'm sure our audience can super relate to, right?
Mhm.
Getting in all those hours, working all these different jobs, trying to find a place where not only do you care about what's happening in the salon, like obviously coming out of beauty school, you need a job and
Yeah.
you want to work, but you went further in looking for something that you were aligned with, right?
Mhm.
That is so key. So again, if anyone's listening, whether you're a stylist and you're looking for a place that you fit in that aligns with your values, not that, it's the busiest salon or it's on the right corner, all of those things, yes, are important. But when you're looking for a salon, you want to find one that aligns with your personal values. Because I think
Mhm.
the longevity of it, and you can be happier there. Plus, it just fits so much nicer.
100%. Like, that's where a lot of people think about like the temporary and like, I gotta start working, gotta start getting clients in, I gotta start doing like, no, like that's only part of it. Like, if you think about like what your morals and your values are, and you pick a company that's aligned with that, you're gonna come into work thinking like, oh, these are my friends, I get to cut their hair all day long and I'm just having a blast. Like, and I was like the first one there usually, because like you first one there, last one to leave. And so to me, it was like I showed up early, got all that, just got everything ready. And to me, when you have that, like, you're not literally not working at all. Like, I'm literally playing and having fun in people's hair all the time. Like, when people come up and say, oh, okay, I'm going to chop like 12 inches, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so awesome. Like, how do you feel? Like, what are we doing? So to me, it's, you get that energy, and then your client gets that energy, and then you're literally feeding off of each other. And to me, I get to play in hair all day long. Like, it's
Yeah.
amazing. So to me, it's so much fun. And like, a lot of my coworkers are like, oh my God, Veronica, I cannot with you. I'm like, did you see that transformation? That was awesome. Like, to me, it's all my clients will tell me like, I've never had a stylist be a lot more excited about my hair transformation than I am. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. This is awesome. Let's do it. Let's get started. And then do like, okay, we're going. And like, Veronica, don't forget to take
Mhm.
pictures. Like, okay, wait, we gotta take pictures. So but that energy level, your clients are going to see that, they're going to feed into it. And then not only does it hype them up, but it makes the experience with you that they have, it just goes on forever. And then they're going to tell their friends about their experience, and then their friends are going to
Mhm.
tell their friends about their experience. The next, it's like, I do everybody's family. Like, I'll do the moms, I'll do the kids, next the wife's like, oh, you're a barber, cool. I hate how my husband I don't hate how his hair turns out when he goes to his barber, so I'm going to bring you over here. She's like, please do it the way I want to do it. So it's kind of like, it's the bigger picture. You're looking for the long game. You're looking for the happy game. Like, you don't want to be just a
Yeah.
stylist. Like, what's the in Eat, Pray, Love? They say like, when they say like, who are you? And you're like, oh, I'm a barber. Like, no, but who are you? Like, what do you actually do? Like, when you think about that, it's like, I make people happy. Like, I get to make them happy every single day. Like, when I think about that, it's like, it's even like you, Jacqueline, like, whenever you got your hair done the way that it was meant to be, like, how did you feel in that moment?
Amazing. I felt like I was seen, like somebody
Mhm.
understood what I
Mhm.
wanted. Cause I mean, I've been in it for a long time, so I know the verbiage now, but before
Mhm.
that, it, I wasn't heard. Like they didn't understand what I wanted. and it was always what they wanted.
Exactly.
That's a big, big difference.
That's a big thing. And that's where it's like, I imagine too, like having curly hair, I've had so many messed up haircuts. I cannot tell you. But at the same time, it wasn't till I started working at Headcase, working with the products, that my curls actually came out. And so then one of my coworkers at the time, she's like, "Hey, you need a shag." I'm like, "Okay." I had the what is it? Oh my God, I can't remember her name. Friends. Jennifer Aniston. I had the Jennifer Aniston
Yeah.
cut from the Rachel cut for
Rachel.
years.
Yeah.
And so next time she's like, "You need a shag." I'm like, "Okay." And so next thing you know, I'm like, "Oh my God," I felt seen in that moment. And so to me, it's like being able to do that for other people, that just feeds your dopamine levels, that feeds your serotonin. Like to me, like you get to have fun at work every single day and you're being fed. Like artistically, you're being challenged, mentally, you're being challenged. You get to talk to people all day long. Like some people can be draining. At the same time, that's where you have your team to rely on. And at the same time with that, like you're getting this high all day long, not from chemical fumes because we're natural, most salons. You're not getting high from chemicals here, but you're getting high spiritually and emotionally. And it's an amazing experience to be in. And that woe is me, I get to work. Like, no, I get to actually work today. I actually get to work and I actually get to play in hair all day. So to me, we actually get rewards. We have like little like birthday points for the salon where it's like halfway through the year, and then we have like our ending year. So we have our half and then the ending year. So the owners will give you like little plaques of like little like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool. Most likely did this like a little reward." And so it's like least likely to take vacation. That's me. But it's because I would love what I do, and that's where it's like going to anybody who's thinking about starting the industry, or just go for it. Just go for it, and make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people, because people like strawberries. You touch one moldy strawberry, it's like a little cancer, man. Like you want to make sure that you're working with people and you have the right support system to align yourself with that. And going into
Yeah.
the salon, like as a stylist, and then Kelly's like, "Hey, I thought you wanted to be a barber." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I need a barber." She's go to school. And so next thing you know, it's having the support system like that and just like the push to do it too. It's been really, really great and really refreshing. So yeah.
I love that. And the passion in your story, the excitement, like that's so amazing. And that's not always the case for everyone, right?
No, yeah. I've heard you're never going to be frustrated. Like if you need to change your environment, go to a different salon who is going to be more supportive and support that. You know what I mean? But find it. So yeah.
Yeah. And I want to add on to that, like finding that fire and that passion. You were already passionate about health
Hmm.
and wellness and bringing that sustainable, clean ideology to who you are and what you're doing. So
Hmm.
you were able to find a salon that aligned with your values so much. So anyone listening, like if you haven't found that one thing, whether it is sustainability or clean or it is barbering or it's braiding, whatever it is that lights you up, hone in on that and then look for the salon that will help support you and allow you to grow in that space, because you'll see how it's aligned and you'll see how that makes a big difference. Because I've been in the industry for 26 years. I have worked at a ton of different salons. I worked at really high end salons, and let me tell you, there was nothing special about it. It was, we did everything. We just had a big high end name, right? And we got lots of people in and out, but there was no passion there. And people were burning out, and it was a different environment. So looking for that, when I got into it, there was nobody who had the same passion or the where I wanted to be. So I had to create it, right? So there's always that option too. And there's just so many more possibilities, but the number one thing is to find who you are, what's important to you, and then add that into your business. Because I know when I started, it wasn't, you don't add things into your business. You cut hair, you color hair, and you leave. Like that's what you talk to your clients about. There was no adding in personalization. It was strictly cuts and colors and what your salon wanted you to do.
Mhm.
Now we have so many more possibilities. And I love that. It's bringing such amazing new energy to the industry. And I do want to ask one last question because we are already at time, which it goes so fast.
I know. I was like, "Oh, this is it's just a great conversation."
Yeah, it's so much fun. And hey, I get to do this. Like, this is work and I love it.
Well, I know
There's so many aspects.
being able to share that with like just having this conversation. So I thank you for your podcast because otherwise we
Yeah.
wouldn't have this conversation and your passion wouldn't be bringing out my passion and we wouldn't be working together and collaborating.
Like minds, right? You
Right?
attract who you want to be around. So I appreciate that too. And I do want to ask, like, if you could, like, knowing all that you know, being in the industry, like, especially with sustainability and clean, if you could make one change in the industry tomorrow, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Let's see. One thing I would change in the industry. I would think open-mindedness. I think definitely being more open and setting your ego aside. I feel like from what the feedback I get from clients, because if you think about clients in general and then what I'm seeing in the industry, especially when it comes to being open-minded about sustainability. Like there's so many people like, "Hey, we're just in that industry. It's not going to be sustainable." And I hate to tell you that. I'm like, "Well, we are the number one salon in DFW that is sustainable, and we are a $1 million salon in that's being sustainable. And we are top waste warriors for 2 years. And so we recycle 95 to 98% of everything in the salon. So be more open-minded. And that's where it's when people say like, oh, well, no, it can't be. And I'm like, no, we're doing it. Like we do it. And so, because when you think about that, it's like touching base on when you say like when stylists want to be in charge and they want to tell you how they want to do your hair, but you're not listening to what the client needs or you're not listening to what the industry is telling you. So to me, it's put like you can communicate, you can talk about it, we can argue about it, we can debate about it all day long, but communication and comprehension is totally different whether you're doing a consultation or in the industry. Like comprehending that our industry is changing. We like salons provide so much waste into landfills and the amount of chemicals that get pushed down the drain and the amount of waste that we're putting on people's hair. Like we use Green Circle salons to help recycle everything. A beautiful company. Anybody who needs to get on it definitely should. We partner with Vish, which is a weighing system. So then that way we per gram, we know that we are using 20 grams of color for a root touch up and you only need 20 grams of color. So to me, you're not, and then so reweighing it and then being able to have like no waste in the bowl, that means nothing goes down the drains. And with green circles, if there is wasted color, we get to bag that color up. It's a cute little, it doesn't even smell bad. It smells great. But at the same time, it looks like all these different globs of color. And that gets redistributed and actually gets reused for natural gases for air propellant in our cans instead of aerosol. So if you think about it, the bigger picture long ways, it's like I would say be more open-minded and if you and the continued education for it, like it's gonna take a learning curve, so be open-minded to that as well, and don't just be like, oh, it doesn't work, whatever. Like no, it's if you play with it and you get the right people who are educators like myself and a lot of my team members, we already showcase it on our website that it can be done. It works. We are already setting out the foundation for that, and that's why we're opening up another salon in Kansas City. Kelly's doing a great job with opening that up, and that's one thing that I would definitely say. We get a lot of feedback, but definitely being open-minded to it and knowing that it can be done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can follow in footsteps. Like that's why we're like the big like that's why we pre-produce everything for Natural Leak. We also distribute it out to other salons in Texas. We're not hoarding it for ourselves. We're not gatekeeping. We want to spread the wealth of knowledge and hair. There's no fumes. There's no nothing. Like you're not breathing that in all day. You're not touching all the chemicals all day. You're not doing that. So being open-minded to learning, open-minded to the concept, open-minded to the possibilities that you can be $1 million salon and still be all natural and sustainable.
I I, again, couldn't have said it better. That is so important. And I think the number one thing that we do get to focus on, I love it. Open-mindedness, knowing that change is not coming,
Mhm.
it's here
It's
and it's
here.
needed.
Yes, it's very needed.
Yeah. So with that being said, uh, you said earlier, like joining up with people, like-minded people, we have obviously the green beauty community. You
Mhm.
always have me as a resource, clean beauty business coach. I've got tons of resources, different, the academy and everything. You're an educator. Tell us where we can find you and how people can get in touch with you to, pick your brain more.
Of course. Well, I practically live at the salon, so if you look up Head Case Hair Studios, you can always call the salon as well. Kelly, she is Sustainable Salons, so she's under Natural Leak Texas. So if you can go to Natural Leak Texas, that's all her distributing
Mm.
work. So you can get in touch with her if you're curious about Natural Leak or if you want to know more about it. Um, Definitely reach out to her through Sustainable Salons and Natural Leak Texas. I'm the Sustainable Barber on Instagram, and of course, as always, Head Case Hair Studios. Yeah, you can reach out to us online or even our Instagram, website, Facebook. We're all over the place. So definitely that's how you can find us and to know more.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story and, just everything you've been through. I'm rooting for you to go back and have an amazing, passionate day. Like, I love your passion and your energy. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure that you follow Veronica. I will make sure, at like every episode, everything's in the show notes. So go there, get all the links, follow her, and let her know, what you got out of this episode. So
Oh,
thank you
absolutely. Love the
again.
feedback. Thank you so very much for having me.
Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. We're on a mission to make sustainable beauty the new standard, and we need your help to make it. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and share with your friends. Every listener helps spread our mission of sustainable beauty. Want to do more? Visit greenbeautycommunity.com to join our community, volunteer your skills, or to make a donation. Your support in any form helps us create a more beautiful and sustainable future for the beauty industry. And remember, together we can transform beauty for ourselves and for our planet. Until next time, stay green and stay gorgeous. This podcast was brought to you by a generous grant by InnerSense Organic Beauty.